All right. Questions. Focused around Manchester City mostly, but we do deviate here and there. So let's get through it. First question, and all of these were submitted through Discord. As a reminder, please access the Discord channel and go there and interact with Real Madrid fans every day. It's a really, really, really fun.
It's taking off.
It's just booming. Just booming. It's such a fun place to be. And the discussion is great. And it's pretty fun to interact. So get in there, and also you can connect your Patreon account, which means you can actually submit questions through Discord and all that stuff for the mailbag. First question is from Post 10. Post 10 says, "Hi, Kiyan and Lucas. What are your thoughts on Benzema's performance today and your predictions for his response in the second leg? In revisiting second leg semis that we played away, one of my favorite Benzema moments was his goal line dribble against Atletico Madrid in the 2017 Champions League run that basically cemented our advancement to the final. Do you guys think a magical Benzema moment can happen again in the second leg?"
Hopefully, I think Real Madrid will need him. He obviously was one of the darkest points, if you will, of this first leg at the Bernabeu. It's clear that he probably didn't cost Real Madrid anything, but he wasn't at the level we're used to see him over the last few seasons. So I think Real Madrid will need him. I think Real Madrid have a tall task ahead with the return leg at the Etihad, and I think they will definitely need a better version of Benzema than the one we got to see in the first leg. Obviously, other players will need to show up as well. This will not be a one-man effort from Benzema. But I think that this is such a tough task that Real Madrid cannot afford to have a similar performance from Benzema than to the one we saw in the first leg. So it was pretty mediocre, and that doesn't mean it was very poor, but we're used to more greatness from Benzema, so I think the team will need him.
What I highlighted in the post-game show about what he did well, I thought, in that first half in particular, when Manchester City were pressing, were more aggressive, it was Benzema dropping deep to help escape press, and his hold-up play was very good. So that's what I think he was doing well. But as important as that is, I think Real Madrid need another gear from him. And I absolutely have faith in Benzema. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, yeah, me too.
He has earned our trust, and he has earned the benefit of the doubt. And as I mentioned that night too on the podcast, he had 3 hat-tricks in the past month. He has big game cojones, and I have no doubt that he's going to be super important in the second leg.
Yeah. I hopefully so, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. On that note, this is a nice segue to more second leg discussion. Patrick Adayafati says, "Hi, Kiyan and Lucas. I hope you're both doing well. A lot of people are saying City didn't play at their best and can/will go up a gear or two at home, while also peddling the narrative that Madrid played their best possible game. If we're being very critical, Benzema, Rodrigo, Fede, and Modric played under their usual level. I believe we can also play much better than this. This team always shows its face when it's being doubted the most. As far as I'm concerned, next Wednesday's match is essentially the Champions League final. That's what it will feel like. On a scale from 1 to 10, how do you personally rate our chances of defeating Manchester City in the Etihad?"
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think they're still the favorites, obviously, so I would put a 4, maybe 60-40, something like that. That will be probably my odds for this one. I think they're the favorites, so 4 is the most I can give to Real Madrid in this regard. It's clear that Real Madrid will need to beat them at the Etihad or eliminate them via a penalty shootout. But I agree with Patrick when he says that the players mentioned perform under their usual or their best level. Fede was, to me, alongside Benzema, Fede was the other who I'm a bit more concerned about. I think Rodrigo and Modric were better than Benzema, and Fede maybe deserved a better rating than these two. But if Fede and Benzema manage to show up and improve a little bit, I think Real Madrid's chances will increase very much. But again, I have to consider Manchester City the favorites after the 1-1 result at the Bernabeu. At the end of the day, Real Madrid didn't take advantage of their home field advantage, so no pun intended. So I have to put Manchester City as a favorites.
So, my buddy texted me yesterday, and he said some bookies have Real Madrid at 4-1, like a 25% chance to advance.
That's too low, in my opinion.
It's insane. Like, again, I don't gamble, but goddamn, if I ever decided to gamble, I'd put so much money on that. Oh, come on. Like 25% chance of advancing is insane. We all saw what happened. Like, I need to know, is it just the home factor?
I don't think it's insane. I think it's too low, but I wouldn't deem it as insanity. I wouldn't go that far.
But I just need to really hear. I agree that City are favorites, but like what I want to hear, like the explanation as to why. Just because of what, Haaland? Because it's at the Etihad?
Yeah, mainly because of it's at the Etihad, and just because of that, Real Madrid will be expected to perform worse than what they perform at home. So
I agree with the general point that Patrick is making here. I don't think we saw the best version of Real Madrid in that first leg, which I think is actually a good thing, because I thought it was the way I worded it, because I've been asked about this a couple times in some random appearances here and there, interviews. The way I worded it was, I think it was pretty even. 1-1 is a fair result. And if I had to choose, I think Real Madrid were slightly better than Manchester City.
I agree.
And I completely agree with the idea that we haven't gone to that full gear yet. If we needed to, we can hopefully dig it out and unearth it. And hopefully the fact that this is the biggest game of the season will demand that from us. And we've been to this stage many times before. Benzema could have been better. Rodrigo, I thought, was pretty good, but he could be better.
Yeah, I agree.
Fede was good, but he could be better. Modric was good, could be better. Completely agree with all that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do think 25% is too low. I don't know what the actual odds are. I'm kind of illiterate when it comes to sports betting anyway, but yeah, I think it's much closer than some people think. So
when Guardiola said after the game that you could feel that Manchester City lacked a little bit of confidence up front in their decision making, in their aggressiveness and all that, I agree. And what gets me a little bit more concerned is the fact that they will probably regain or have that confidence back at home, with their fans supporting them and all that. So, I mean, Real Madrid didn't play at their best, but it's clear that Manchester City didn't play at their best either. So
no, but yeah, that look, I'm sure they'll come out prepared or whatever, but so will we. But I have another thing that I was thinking about this quite a bit. A lot of the kind of the narrative that gets pushed out, and a lot of this, I think, the way Guardiola generally talks in the media, he didn't say it this time. He actually was, I thought, was quite graceful after the game, where he actually said, the second half that they dominated. He said, I don't remember the exact words he used, but he was pretty admitting that the fact that Real Madrid.
But he's always graceful when the result is kind of good for Manchester City, so that's not a surprise.
But I feel like he gives a lot of backhanded compliments, and I feel like a lot of the narrative he pushes out with Real Madrid in the Champions League is like, oh yeah, the reason why Real Madrid win the Champions League is because it's Real Madrid and they always like have to be there. You have to go through them, but it's never about like how great Real Madrid are. You know what I mean? I feel like what we saw in the first leg was not a matter of Champions League DNA, nor was it any kind of not playing well, but then scoring. Like there was a level of football that Real Madrid played that was like, oh shit, these guys, it's not just about Champions League DNA right now. These guys are actually as good as us. Like I feel like there was a little bit of like, oh shit, it's not that we have to be careful about these guys' mentality. It's like, no, these guys are actually really, really good. And I just feel like this Manchester City, if they get punched in the mouth a little bit, they kind of buckle, especially when you factor in the fact that, there's a lot of pressure on them to finally get to the final and win it. They've had another great domestic season. And, they've added Haaland to help them get over the hump like this. And I feel like there's just a lot of pressure on them. And I don't know how they'll necessarily deal with that pressure because they haven't dealt with it in the Champions League in the past. So I think this is a pretty even playing field. Maybe I'm underrating the Etihad for whatever reason. I understand that their home record is insane, but I don't know how phased Real Madrid will be from the Etihad. We've been through much more hostile atmospheres than that. So I don't know. I'm actually feeling okay about this. I'm feeling good about heading into the second leg. Again, not favorites, but I don't think it's 25% or whatever. And I guess I just have a more optimistic view on this. Having said that, when you mentioned penalty shootout, I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit. I don't want to sit through that. It sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Did you see what Stevie Nicol said on ESPN?
No. What did you say?
One of the wildest takes I've ever heard. So much so that I actually had to text Kay Murray about it because she was the one moderating that panel. He said that Real Madrid looked like Leeds United versus Manchester City in the first leg.
Oh wow, come on.
He couldn't believe that this basically was a Champions League level team. Like that they got dominated, and it was like I just
Real Madrid missed an opportunity to. I mean, Manchester City were with their backs against the wall in the return leg. It's maybe Manchester City kind of won the first half. I can agree. I can see and agree with that. But the second half was all Real Madrid, and to me, Real Madrid missed the golden opportunity. So I don't know where that take is coming from, man. It's just ridiculous.
We'll come back to City discussion.
Yeah.
Anthony Tharp says, sorry about the late second question, but will there be a live show in Dallas for El Clasico? That's the plan. Anthony, I don't think you were at our last Dallas podcast. One of the most memorable podcasts we've done because Matt Wiltsey, who lives there. First of all, congrats to Matt Wiltsey. He gets a Clasico in Dallas. And I don't think Dallas is as fun as Las Vegas, but we lost the Vegas Clasico and earned a Dallas Clasico, which is great because I think we're going to get that same room. It's this breathtaking room with like basically couches and fireplaces we had to ourselves. In the other room, there was a bar and there was like a pinball machine and a foosball table. And it was just so nice because it was nice and quiet because it wasn't a public open bar that we have to record in some other places that we go to. So that's the plan. Matt was going to try to book that room again and we'll hopefully see you there. Okay. Dallas was an awesome time. So hopefully we'll do it again. And hopefully we'll do Houston as well. And hopefully we'll do LA as well. Again, I'm not sure about Orlando. Orlando is just Florida in the summertime. Although like, Texas in the summertime is an absolute heat wave too. But I don't know. Orlando's just all the way on the East Coast and it's not as easy to plan. So I don't know about Orlando, and I don't think we have a market at all there. And I don't know if there's much happening in Orlando apart from Disney World. So don't know about Orlando, but the other three, yeah, that's the plan. Stay tuned, Anthony. Do you have any extra thoughts to add to this U.S. tour?
No, I'd love to go. It's a bit of a shame because I will be visiting the U.S. by the end of August. So it's a bit of a shame that, we cannot put all these pieces together and have a Real Madrid game in the US I can attend to, and obviously a Managing Madrid podcast episode recorded live that I can attend as well. It's a bit of a shame that this is happening a month earlier or a month before my trip.
I can't remember. What are you going to the US for again? Just to hang out?
Just just holidays, vacation. Yeah.
So this is for future purposes. You always know that the Real Madrid goes to the US once a year in the summertime. You gotta wait, see what they announce, and then book it for next summer. Okay?
All right. We'll try.
You know what? I'm amazed they announced it so early, or maybe it's not that early. I guess
it's strange.
But I'm really happy they announced it
2
this
months
early.
from now. Yeah, right.
I'm probably the most excited. I love preseasons with all my heart. I really, really enjoy it. I know I don't know what it is. It's just such a fun experience for me. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I don't remember anything from the games, but I just remember enjoying it. And I really look forward to it. I get irrational. I got so excited today when
waiting
they announced
in baseball fields.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a fun vibe. I don't know what it is. It's just a really fun thing to be a part of. All right. Lachlon says, "Is Camavinga buckle up for this one? Is Camavinga potentially the best left back in the world right now?"
Look, he obviously isn't. I don't think. But I was going to ask Ancelotti a question about after the game. Obviously, didn't get the opportunity to. About Camavinga's role being very similar to what Marcelo could offer in terms of, his creativity and his positioning on the field. He tends to drift towards the center of the field when Real Madrid have the ball. So I think it's a very similar role than the one Marcelo played. Obviously, Ancelotti coached Marcelo during Marcelo's prime back in 2013-14 and also 14-15. So I would have been interested in hearing Ancelotti's answer to this. And he's not the world's best left back, I don't think, but he's definitely impacting the game in many ways. I still think that he takes too many risks for a defender, in my opinion. That turnover led to Manchester City's goal and overall kind of put a stain a little bit on his world-class performance during the first leg. I still think that it's a bit of a shame that we're not getting the chance and the opportunity to see him play in as a defensive midfielder after what he showed and did in Anfield, for example. To be honest, maybe when Mendy's back and ready, I would probably play Camavinga as a defensive midfielder, drop Valverde out of the team if he keeps playing this way, and start Mendy on the left. But right now, he's the best answer Real Madrid have for the left back spot with Mendy not available. So, but again, I hope that this changes soon because I want him to be either a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder, but definitely not a left back.
This is just a fun, I guess, thought exercise. Like you said, he's not the world's best left back. But just the fact that, like, imagine if someone told you this summer that this question would come into our mailbag this year. And it would be a serious question. Crazy. So it's interesting because I actually just happened to write kind of about this yesterday. It's on the site in my latest column, but Football Reference sneakily has added a section on Camavinga's profile page which compares him to fullbacks. And so just here are some numbers. 85th percentile among fullbacks in shot creating actions. 99th percentile in pass completion. 93rd percentile in progressive passes. 82nd percentile in progressive carries, 92nd percentile in successful take-ons, 99th percentile in tackles. He's like just up there. I mean, he's clearly not better than like Alphonso Davies or Teo Hernandez, or like just off the top of my head, Zinchenko, these guys, maybe Robertson. I think what he's missing to like actually be up with those guys though in this comparison is if he starts like scoring and getting more assists from this position, he could actually be among the world's best left backs. I mean, he's probably like top
He's
7.
not playing that role though.
No, that's the thing.
Again, he's pretty much being an attacking midfielder where Real Madrid have the ball, similar to what Marcelo did. I mean, the other day it reminded me a lot of Marcelo's role. You know, leaving all the wing for Vinicius, and then he drifted and pretty much was Real Madrid's attacking midfielder. It was a bit crazy to see that. So he's not playing the role of crossing and dribbling past opponents through the flanks and all that, similar to what Theo and Alphonso Davies do. He's a different kind of profile.
Yeah, I feel like if you give him like one more season of just
no
no, I know. But you just give him like one more season of playing this left back role, I don't see why he wouldn't be like considered among the best.
He's already one of the best midfielders. Put him there.
I know. I
and
agree
sign
with
a
you.
left back.
Fran Garcia is coming.
Is he better than Fran Garcia now as a left back?
Yes, I think he is.
I agree.
Okay, so here's a question. Would you have rather had Camavinga against City that day or Zinchenko? Or Chilwell?
No. I wouldn't bench Camavinga for any of these.
Well, does this mean he's like basically like a top 3 left back?
Yeah, maybe he's, but isn't he he's so good that he can make a bigger impact as a midfielder. And he might not be a top 3 midfielder. But, the impact he's allowed to make as a midfielder is way bigger than the impact any kind of left back makes. With the exception of maybe Marcelo. Marcelo is the one and only player who pretty much was an entire offensive system by himself as a left back. Other than that, left backs, a world-class left back obviously helps, makes a good impact. But, I'd rather have a top 10 midfielder than a top 3 left back.
Yeah. The thing is with Camavinga also is that the stuff he impacts the game with, he can do from anywhere. So, obviously his best position is still central midfield. There's no arguing that. But he's just impacting the game in ways that Ferland Mendy couldn't. And
absolutely,
it's been huge.
He's a better left back than Mendy.
Yeah, this question is crazy to me because it's actually, again, he's not number 1, but against City, this is the way I'm going to answer it now. This is completely off the cuff. I didn't think about this until right now. But against Manchester City in the first leg, there are probably only 2 left backs I would legitimately would have rathered. And that would be Alphonso Davies, and the second one would be probably Theo Hernandez. But I don't even know if Theo Hernandez knocks down Bernardo Silva the way Camavinga did.
I don't know about Theo either.
So we're gonna put him up to number 2 now.
Second but again, I'd rather have a top 10 midfielder. There are just a handful of ways a left back can impact the game, whereas obviously a midfielder is key. Having a top 10 midfielder, even top 5, is so crucial. It changes the entire complexity of your team. Whereas a fullback, it's great and it helps, but it should not and it won't make a difference unless that particular and specific fullback is Marcelo.
When was the last time we've seen a player like this who's so good at 2 completely different random positions? I guess like Kimmich was a midfielder.
Yeah.
And a wing
good
back.
Example. Yeah.
Is the only one I can really think of. I mean, but Alaba never really played midfield the way Camavinga does to that consistency.
Yeah, Kimmich is a good example, yeah.
It's a very, very interesting player profile. Yeah, haven't really seen anything like it.